Hello YouTube, I'm back, and today I will be doing science experiments on my plants, sort of. So I've been growing Anthuriums for a few years now, and I feel like it's kind of like a gateway into learning more about nature and horticulture and farming, and overall just kind of increasing my appreciation for nature in general. As of recently, I've been keeping this thing called a commonplace book where I store all of the rabbit holes and deep dives I learn related to anthuriums or plants. And I'll put in a clip of my things. And so recently I have been really into Korean natural farming, which kind of just focuses on the emphasis between plants and the microbes in the soil. I want to try out some of the methods. Mainly, I'm going to be trying water-soluble calcium and then lab lactic acid bacteria, and I'm just going to take you along with me. And I said I'll be testing on my plants, but not really. They're just they're going to enjoy the things I make. And yeah, let's get started. This project is actually pretty straightforward. You only need 2 ingredients, which are shells and vinegar. A lot of people actually use eggshells. However, I had a delicious seafood boil recently, so I will be using seashells. Basically, you just soak the shells in vinegar and let it sit for 48 hours for the reaction to complete. Here it is, 48 hours later. There are no more bubbles, so that should mean the reaction is done. Also, it doesn't smell like vinegar anymore. It just smells like seashells, which also indicates that the reaction is done, because if there's enough shells, then the vinegar should just turn into water after reacting. Yeah, the shells are pretty brittle. It feels pretty brittle with this spoon. So I'm thinking either I can toss this in my compost. I'm still not sure how fast it would break down, but I think I can save this for later and run it through another batch of vinegar in the future if I need it again. Sources say to dilute it at 1 teaspoon per gallon. I'm kind of winging it here. Don't do that to your plants if you like them. But anyways, I hope my plants like it. I'm not sure. We'll see in a few months. If they decline, then maybe it's the calcium. I'm just kidding. I'm sure they'll be fine. Hello, I'm about to go out, which is why I'm all dressed up, but I still had some time and I want to take this time to explain what lab is. So lab is lactic acid bacteria, and it's a very popular technique in Korean natural farming. Basically what the whole process is, you will use rice water to cultivate the lactic acid bacteria that just kind of occurs naturally in the environment around us, and then you will feed that lactic acid bacteria with milk. And then that will this whole process will result in curds and whey, and then this lactic acid bacteria juice. And what this bacteria does is that it will help, it will help break down things in the soil, so it will help the plants, I believe. I'm not going to be running this experiment for long enough where there will be massive changes. However, I did want to note that I do grow most 90% of my anthuriums, except for my seedlings, but I grow almost all of them in a mix with soil in it, because I want to get the kind of benefits that soil gives, which is kind of microbacteria diversity. And yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but I'll show you my plants. Now this, we named her Big Red because she is very big. Her veins are very red. I don't know if the camera can pick this up. She is a dock block hybrid, and I got her about 3 years ago as a tiny seedling. It's been throwing out a ton of inflows, so it's a little bit crispy. And also I just have been through kind of rough phases in regards to mental health, so I haven't been the most consistent with watering my plants on time. However, I find that dock block varieties are very forgiving in missed waterings. As you can see, there's not a lot of crispy leaves, and yeah, this one's my favorite. Honorary mention is my Vichii, because he is throwing out a massive new leaf. I am so excited to see how this turns out. This actually was a seedling also, and it wasn't doing much. It was throwing out these tiny leaves, and then I up-potted it, and it's been very happy. It's been throwing bigger leaves, and this one looks like it's pretty big. This is an emergent, so after it kind of unfurls, it'll grow bigger and bigger. So I'm very excited about this. I probably won't do a full plant tour because that just takes up so much energy, but I'll probably do one in the future. We'll see. Here it is. I've washed the rice a few times. This rice, I'll probably cook something for my dogs later. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little scared at how this thing will go. I'm kind of scared of messing up because I've never really fermented anything before. So this will be my first time. Hello, I'm here 48 hours later. This has been sitting in the dark this entire time. There's this kind of film that's formed at the bottom. It smells a bit sour. I know it's supposed to smell kind of sweet. I guess I could get that, but I feel like it's mostly like slightly sour and not that much of a smell. So the instructions say to add the rice water and milk at a 1:10 ratio. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mark this amount with a sticky note and then add 10 parts milk with this, if that makes sense. I will show you what I do real quick. Right here. So we need 10 of these milks, if that makes sense. Hopefully we did this right, and the curd will start forming up top within 48 hours, I think. So I'll check back at that time. Hello, a little update. My dad and I finally finished separating the curds and the liquid. I didn't record because the process was a little bit tedious. It took a little bit of time, mainly just kind of straining out the curds from the liquids and then finding a cheese press and then pressing that in. And I didn't want to add to the complexity of it, especially considering that my dad was helping me out. So first off, the curds, it tasted, it was perfect. It smelled a little bit farmy, but it wasn't like necessarily bad. I could tell that it was successful because there was no like odors or anything, but I was a little bit scared of the taste, so I fed some to my dogs, just a little bit. It's apparently beneficial for them. My dogs have a really strong, healthy gut. My big dog loved it, but he loves eating everything. My small dog is very picky about things, but she loved it. She actually came back for more and was licking the plate, which I was very surprised about. And then I eventually tasted it. The taste, I'm not gonna say like things like, oh, it's super delicious or anything, because I don't want to mislead anyone. I do say I liked it. It is a taste, it didn't taste like much, but there was like a tanginess that I've tasted before with like other fermented stuff. Like I've fermented salsa before, and there's that like kind of tangy bubbliness. And yeah, what I kind of had to get used to though was like there was kind of a milk flavor, and like mentally I just couldn't get myself to like it at first, because it was like mentally it was like milk that I've just left out for 2 days. Like I was a little scared, but my dad and I tried it and it was actually pretty good. It grew on us. I keep a layer of leaf litter on this plant here, as you can see, and it will slowly decompose down as time goes on. So maybe this lactic acid bacteria will help this decompose. We'll see. Say hello to Missy. This is Missy. Hello. Mwah. 1 week ago, I was thinking, should I even do an update? Because I'm not sure if anything's gonna happen other than my already existing beautiful emergent getting bigger. However, I was very surprised at how many of my plants gave me new leaves. And these leaves definitely weren't here a week ago. Now, is it because of the lactic acid bacteria or the water-soluble calcium? I can't say for sure because I don't have a proper study and I don't have things like a control group or a long enough time frame. And I want to say that my plants are very happy because I've invested a lot of time into researching what they like and what they don't like. That being said, these things don't make them unhappy because they are giving me new leaves. On top of that, I think this experiment was really fun and I've learned a lot, and it's really broadened my appreciation for things like farming practices and kind of like honoring that balance of microorganisms in our soil and with our crops. And I want to say, like, as a plant owner, sometimes when I'm waiting for my plants to do something, I get this urge to buy more plants or to just overwater my plants, which both don't really end up with results that I'm very happy with. So I've kind of resorted to this other method of using plants and my love for plants as a gateway into learning more. And as you can see, like I've said before, Korean natural farming was the rabbit hole that I've decided to go down this time. There are plenty of other rabbit holes, and I'll probably get into that in the future, but I want to say that if you are kind of going through the same thing I am with this kind of like stagnation in the plant collecting hobby, instead of buying more plants, unless you want to buy plants, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to go deeper, I definitely recommend looking into kind of like different fields or different techniques, things to like broaden your knowledge, because in turn that kind of like also deepens your appreciation for these houseplants. And you know, if you're watching this video and if you collect plants, I know you already have an appreciation for nature of some sort. Okay, and that's kind of all I had to say. This experiment was really fun and I definitely recommend it. It's not really that hard, and yeah, I definitely recommend it. Sorry, I'm kind of blanking out. I don't have a script, so it's kind of hard for me to talk on the spot. But I'm gonna end this video now before I stutter anymore. And I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope to do more experiments, and I hope you join me next time. Bye!